Picture a normal week. Then picture the week the power grid goes down for 4 days during a winter storm. The kind of thing that happened across Texas in February 2021, when millions of households lost heat and water at the same time grocery stores were running empty shelves. Now, picture one house on that same street that never lost power, never ran out of water, and still had a freezer full of food 2 weeks later. Not because that family is wealthy, because 18 months earlier, they spent $40,000 turning an ordinary half acre into a system that doesn't collapse when everything around it does. Today, we're walking through exactly how that $40,000 gets spent, system by system, including what to buy, where to find it, and how it actually gets installed for a real family of 5, not a cabin in the woods fantasy, a working blueprint you could start on this weekend. Here's the uncomfortable starting point. A basic off-grid solar setup alone can run $15,000 to $25,000 for a modest home. A family of 5 eats through roughly a ton of food a year, so $40,000 doesn't buy luxury. It buys hard choices, and it buys them at the right price. A huge part of this budget comes down to buying used equipment instead of new, sourcing materials locally instead of through big retailers, and doing the labor yourself wherever it's realistic. Every dollar in this plan has to pull at least 2 jobs. If a system doesn't, it doesn't make the cut. The base property. The assumptions. An existing, modest rural or semi-rural home, nothing fancy, with somewhere between half an acre and an acre of usable land, a family of 5, 2 adults and 3 kids, and 0 prior infrastructure. We're starting from a blank slate, not upgrading something that's already halfway there. Ideally, there's at least one south-facing roof or open area for solar, and enough flat ground for a garden that gets 6 or more hours of direct sun. Water independence, approximately $3,500. Most people starting a project like this think about food first. That's backwards. Water runs out faster, and without it, nothing else on this list matters. Not the garden, not the chickens, not the freezer full of meat. Here's how it physically comes together. Standard 5-inch K-style gutters go up along the main roofline, feeding into a downspout fitted with a first flush diverter, a simple length of capped PVC pipe that catches the first few gallons of dirty runoff from each rain so it doesn't go into your drinking water. These diverters can be bought for around $40 or built from parts at any hardware store. From there, the water flows into storage. The cheapest reliable option is used IBC totes, the 1,000-liter plastic containers and steel cages that previously held food-grade liquids like juice concentrate or syrup. They show up constantly on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist for $75 to $150 each. 4 to 6 of them, set on a leveled gravel or paver base, gives you somewhere between 1,200 and 2,000 gallons of storage for under $1,000 total. If the tank sit higher than the house, gravity does the work. If not, a small transfer pump, $50 to $100, moves water to a pressure tank inside. At the point where water enters the house, install a whole house sediment and carbon filter, $200 to $300, available at any plumbing supply store, and keep a gravity countertop filter like a Berkey on the kitchen counter as a second layer for drinking water specifically. A family of 5 needs roughly 50 gallons a day for drinking, cooking, and hygiene, more once the garden is running. 2 more things before you move on. First, once the system is live, get the water tested. Most county agricultural extension offices do this for free or close to it. Second, keep one portable filter, like a Sawyer squeeze or a Life Straw, in a bag by the door. It costs $30 to $50, and it's your answer if the whole system is ever offline at once. Energy independence, approximately $9,000. This is where expectations and reality split apart hardest. Solar on a budget does not mean the lights work exactly like before. The hardware, 8 to 10 400-watt monocrystalline panels, which gets you to roughly 3.5 to 4 kilowatts of capacity. Companies like Signature Solar, Alt eStore, and Renegade sell these directly. Typically $150 to $200 per panel. Call it $1,500 to $2,000 for the array. A ground mount racking kit, $500 to $800, is usually easier for a DIY family than a roof mount, since it keeps everything at working height. The storage is the expensive part. A 48-volt 4 battery bank in the 10 to 15 kilowatt hour range, built from 2 or 3 rack-mounted batteries from a brand like EG4. Budget $3,000 to $4,500 here. It's the single biggest line item in the entire project, and it's also the part where buying once and buying right matters most. Pair it with a hybrid inverter that has a built-in charge controller, around $1,200 to $1,800, which converts the battery's stored power into the 120-volt power your appliances use. The last piece is a critical loads sub-panel, a small breaker box, separate from your main panel, that only powers what actually matters in an outage: the refrigerator, the chest freezers, the well pump, some lighting circuits, and your internet. Wiring this in is the one step in this entire project where hiring a licensed electrician for a day, roughly $500 to $800, is worth it, both for safety and because it's often required for permitting. What this system doesn't power: central heating or air conditioning, an electric stove, or a clothes dryer. That trade-off is the whole story. During an extended outage, this system is the difference between food spoiling in 48 hours and food staying safe for weeks. Food production, approximately $5,000. Here's the part almost nobody plans for correctly. A garden doesn't feed a family in year one. Most first-year gardens fail. Wrong soil, wrong timing, pests nobody anticipated. So this line item isn't really buy a garden. It's buy 2 seasons of learning, with the deck stacked in your favor. Start with 8 to 10 raised beds, 4 feet by 8 feet each, built from untreated pine, $40 to $60 per bed in lumber, or cedar if you want them to last longer without rotting. Raised beds matter because they let you control the soil completely instead of fighting whatever's already in the ground. Fill them with a blended mix of topsoil, compost, and peat, or coconut coir. Most landscape supply yards sell this by the cubic yard for $30 to $40, and 10 beds at 12 inches deep need roughly 10 to 12 yards total, usually delivered by dump truck for a flat fee. Next, a greenhouse. A 10 by 12 polycarbonate kit from a brand like Palram or Shelter Logic, $600 to $1,200, assembled over a weekend with basic tools and 2 people. This extends your growing season by months on both ends, and gives seedlings a safe place to start before they go outside. Connect everything to the water system from earlier with a basic drip irrigation kit. A Rainbird kit runs $150 to $250 and covers all 10 beds plus the greenhouse, fed either by gravity from the elevated tanks or a small 12-volt pump for around $50. For seeds, order from an heirloom seed company like Baker Creek or Southern Exposure Seed Exchange rather than a hardware store rack. Heirloom varieties let you save seed from this year's harvest to plant next year, which matters a lot once you're thinking multiple seasons ahead. A starter seed vault runs $50 to $100. Round out the budget with a simple 3-bin composting setup, often built for free from pallets that local businesses are happy to give away, and 4 to 6 bare root fruit trees from a local nursery planted during the dormant season in late winter for $30 to $50 each. Protein system, approximately $2,000. Chickens are the gateway animal of homesteading, and they're oversold constantly. 8 to 10 laying hens in a predator-proof coop and run will produce roughly 5 to 7 eggs a day. That's meaningful protein for 5 people, but it's not, by itself, a protein solution. For the co-op, you have 2 paths. Build an 8x8 walk-in coop from free plans available online for $400 to $600 in lumber and hardware. Or buy a prefab kit from Tractor Supply or Amazon for $800 to $1,200. Either way, the part that actually matters is predator proofing, and this is where most people get it wrong. Use 1/2-inch welded hardware cloth, never chicken wire. Chicken wire keeps chickens in, but it does nothing against raccoons or weasels or foxes. Bury the hardware cloth 12 inches deep around the entire perimeter of the run, and cover every window, vent, and gap with it too. For a coop this size, that's roughly $150 to $250 in hardware cloth and staples. Cover the run itself with hardware cloth or netting overhead to deter hawks. For birds, look for pullets, young hens close to laying age, at a feed store during chick days, which Tractor Supply and Rural King run every spring, or order from a hatchery like Murray McMurray. Expect $5 to $15 per bird. Store feed in galvanized metal trash cans with locking lids, which keep rodents out completely. A flock of 8 to 10 birds eats through about 1.5 bags of layer. Feed a month at $15 to $20 a bag. Add a heated water base for winter, around $30 to $40, so the water doesn't freeze solid. Before we keep going, of everything so far, water, solar, garden, chickens, which one do you think you could realistically start building this year with money you already have sitting around? Drop it in the comments. I read through these, and it's shaping what we cover next. Food security, approximately $3,500. A stocked pantry isn't a doomsday thing. It's a hedge against price increases. The same logic as locking in a good rate, except the rate here is this bag of rice costs what it cost last year, not what it costs after the next round of grocery inflation. Start with shelving. Heavy-duty wire shelving units from Costco or Sam's Club $80 to $120 each. 4 to 6 units gives you a serious pantry wall. For bulk staples, rice, beans, oats, flour, oil. Either buy in bulk from a warehouse club or order through a bulk co-op like Azure Standard, which delivers pallet-sized orders to regional drop points. Repackage everything into food-grade buckets with gamma seal lids, about $15 each, or into Mylar bags with oxygen absorber packets for anything you want to store for years rather than months. For garden surplus, a pressure canner, around $100, and a water bath canner, around $40, let you preserve tomatoes, beans, and fruit from the garden. Jars themselves are often available cheap or free secondhand from thrift stores and estate sales. Round this section out with 2 chest freezers, 15 to 20 cubic feet each, from a home improvement store or a scratch and dent appliance outlet for $300 to $500 a piece. These run off the solar system's critical loads panel and hold a garden surplus, bulk meat purchases, and eggs. The system only works if it's organized. Label everything with the date it went in, store newest items at the back, and pull from the front. First in, first out. Done right. This pantry can cover 3 to 6 months of staples for 5 people. Backup systems, approximately $3,000. Solar fails too. Cloudy stretches, battery degradation, a part breaking at the worst possible time. Redundancy is what turns those moments from disasters into inconveniences. The core piece is a dual fuel inverter generator, one that runs on either gasoline or propane, in the 3,500 to 5,000 watt range. Brands like Champion and Predator sell these through Harbor Freight and Tractor Supply for $700 to $1,000. Have it wired into the same critical loads panel as the solar system through a manual transfer switch, which the electrician handling your solar wiring can usually add in the same visit for $500 to $800, including labor. For fuel, store gasoline in 4 to 6 5-gallon cans with a stabilizer like Sta-Bil mixed in, and rotate it every 6 months by using the oldest fuel in your vehicles. Better yet, lean on the propane side of the dual fuel setup. A 100-pound propane tank, filled for around $150 to $200. Stores indefinitely with no degradation. Run the generator under load once a month for 20 minutes or so, just to keep it from seizing up when you actually need it, and keep a spare spark plug and extra oil on hand. Storage and shelter, approximately $2,500. A root cellar is, functionally, free refrigeration. If your house has a basement, the cheapest version is sealing off one corner with rigid foam insulation board, $300 to $400 in materials, to create a separate, cooler microclimate. If there's no basement, a partially buried structure works just as well. An old chest freezer or a section of large diameter culvert pipe, buried with the lid or hatch above ground level, uses the surrounding earth to stay naturally cool year-round. Inside, wooden shelving holds canned goods, and bins of damp sand work well for storing root vegetables like carrots and potatoes through winter. Add a small dehumidifier. An EvaDry unit or similar runs $50 to $100 and plugs into the critical load circuit to keep humidity from causing mold and rot, which is the single most common reason root cellars fail. A basic deadbolt on the door rounds out the section. The bigger win here is indirect. Every pound of food living in a cool, stable cellar instead of a freezer is energy your solar system doesn't have to spend. Tools and maintenance, approximately $2,000. Every system on this list will eventually break. Most people spend their entire budget building systems and nothing keeping them running. And then a $50 part takes down a $9,000 solar array. Start with a general mechanics tool set, sockets, wrenches, screwdrivers, plus Homestead basics, a good shovel, a post hole digger, a wheelbarrow, and a pickaxe. A surprising amount of this can be found used and cheap at estate sales and on Facebook Marketplace. For the solar system specifically, keep a digital multimeter, around $30, for troubleshooting, plus spare fuses and extra NMC4 connectors, which are the small plugs that connect solar panels together and occasionally fail. For the water system, keep a pipe wrench, a PVC cutter, and a small stock of spare fittings and O-rings, since a cracked fitting in winter is exactly the kind of small problem that becomes a big one if you can't fix it that day. Finally, put real money into a proper medical kit, not the $12 drugstore version, but a trauma level kit from a company like My Medic that includes things like a tourniquet and clotting gauze, and talk to your family's doctor about whether an extended supply of any regular prescriptions is an option. The full budget. Add it up: water, $3,500, $9,000, garden and greenhouse, $5,000, chickens, $2,000, pantry and freezers, $3,500, generator, $3,000, cellar, $2,500, Tools and medical, $2,000. That's $30,500, leaving roughly $9,500, almost a quarter of the total budget, unallocated on purpose. That's not waste. That's the buffer for installation costs that always run higher than quoted. The electrician's invoice coming in above estimate. The soil test that says you need more amendments than planned. The well pump that's a different size than expected. If there's one number on this entire list that determines whether the project succeeds or turns into a half-finished pile of equipment, it's this one. Step back and look at how it connects. Rain hits the roof, fills the IBC totes, gets filtered for drinking and routed through drip lines to the garden. The garden and the chicken coop feed each other through composting. Kitchen scraps and coop waste become soil. Soil grows food. Food scraps go back to the chickens. Solar powers the well pump that moves the water, the freezers that hold the surplus, and the fridge. The cellar takes pressure off the freezers by storing what doesn't need to be frozen. The generator backs up the solar on the days it can't keep up. And the toolkit keeps every piece of that chain from becoming a single point of failure. $40,000 does not make this family off the grid in the way people imagine. It doesn't replace a paycheck. It doesn't cover health insurance or property taxes. It is not a bunker, and it would not get this family through a true long-term collapse scenario unchanged. There are also ongoing costs that don't disappear after the initial build. Chicken feed, fuel rotation, seed orders, the occasional replacement part. What it does is smaller and more useful. It lowers the monthly grocery and utility bills, and it turns the kind of week-long disruption that wrecks an unprepared household, a storm, a job loss, a supply chain hiccup, into something this family can simply ride out. This isn't about disappearing into the woods or preparing for the end of the world. It's the same logic as keeping an emergency fund, except instead of sitting in a bank account, this version of resilience is built into the walls, the roof, and the backyard. If you want to know which everyday foods are quietly disappearing from grocery shelves, and why preppers are already stockpiling them before anyone else notices, watch the video on the left. And if you want to see the full picture of the silent collapse already happening across 10 US states, one that nobody in charge wants to admit, watch the video on the right. Don't forget to subscribe.